Now we'd like our game to try to keep score. So in order to keep score, we're going to need to add some text objects. To add some text objects and to format them, we're going to import two libraries. We'll import the text field library from the text package inside of the Flash package, and also from those packages the text format class. We're going to add a couple more instance variables. We're going to go ahead and add a private var player score. He'll be of type number to keep our score. We'll also make a private var enemy score. He'll also be of type number to keep our enemy score. And here's an example of a text box, our text field. We named our text field object player score box. We added those three as instance variables to our list of instance variables. And our constructor will set player score, we'll initialize it to 0. And enemy score will also initialize to 0. Here's where we make that text field. First we make a text format object. We call him format1. The format object is used to format our text box, our text field. Notice that we changed his color to a bluish color. This is its RGB. You can look up RGB colors online, or if you go over here to your color picker, and of course that's off the screen, but you can use your eyedropper tool to pick some colors, and in the top left hand corner will show your RGB values. You can also change the format1 size to 24 points. Now we make a new text field. We instantiate our text field object. We set his X and Y value to be in the top left-hand corner of our stage. We then set his text attribute to be the player score. We have to change player score to a string because the only thing that can be written to a text field is a string. So that's why we have our string typecast here. It typecasts our number object to a string object so it can print to your text field. We then set that text field's format to that of format1, and then we add that score box to our screen. We save our file and we can run and test him, and there's our text field. We'll want to make that format object an instance variable so that we can use him later on when we want to update that score box. So you'll want to add him as an instance variable where you declare him up here with all the other instance variables, and you declare him of type text format. And then in your constructor, you'll want to instantiate this object with the new operator as a text format object. You'll set his color and his size like you did before, and then after you print that string to the screen, you can set his text format to that format1. Now we'd like it to update the score. So in order to update our score, we're going to go ahead and add a new function. The function we're going to add is the reset handler function, and this reset handler function is going to be called on every frame. So we're going to add an event listener. The event listener is going to listen for the enter frame event and then call this function called reset handler. Before we write that function, let's go ahead and copy and paste this code so that we could add a score box for our enemy score box. So we'll also copy and paste our declaration of our variable. And we'll call this score box enemy score box. You can double click and copy, Control C or Command C on a Mac, and then double click, Command V. Couple of things that we'll want to change. We'll want to display enemy score, even though they are both 0. It doesn't really matter that much. We'll want to make the enemy score above him. So we could do stage width and subtract 75. And we can leave the Y value as 15. Alright, it looks like our code is ready. Alright, let's compile our code and run it. Here's our player score box, and here's our enemy score box. Alright. Now we want the score to change as the enemy scores. We'll want his score to change. Let's look at our reset handler function. We'll write a reset handler function at the end of our class definition outside of any other function. Here's the end of our reset handler. Here's where we're checking if the ball has gone out of the left side of the screen. If it's gone out of the left side of the screen, we'll want to change our enemy score box text and up the enemy score. We'll also want to change the format of our enemy score box to that format 1 object. Of course, if the ball has gone outside of the right side of our screen, which happens to be 800 pixels, or you could say stage width. Here's where we'll check if it's gone outside the right side of the screen. So if it's gone out the right side of the screen, then the player score box will change and our player score will go up by 1. We'll also want to format our text box so we can save that code. We can test our code. If our enemy gets the ball past us, his score starts to increase. Notice that this is happening on every frame, and so it's checking on every frame if the ball is less than 0, which it is, and that's why his score just keeps on going up. So here's where we need to think, okay, when the ball goes out the left or right side of my screen, I would like the score to go up, but I'd also like the ball to reset to the middle, and the X speed and Y speed and all of our variables to reset as well. So here's where we're going to write a reset function, and we'll call this reset function every time that we need it to reset. Okay, so if the ball's ever to the left or to the right, then we'll call the reset function. The purpose of our reset function is just to reset some of our variables. Okay. So we'll write end reset function here. So here's where we reset some of our variables we used in that ball's movement. We reset the ball's Y value to stage width. Actually, the Y value is height divided by 2. And then we'll set the ball's X value accordingly. And we'll set it to stage width divided by 2. And we'll change our player back to his position in the middle of our stage. Okay, now when we run him and the enemy gets his ball past us, his score goes up 1, and as you can see, it resets and the ball moves back to the middle of the screen and his score goes up. Now the only problem is, no matter how good of a player we are, it's almost impossible to get the ball past our enemy because our enemy is looking at the ball's Y value and using the artificial intelligence to move himself, and it's pretty much impossible to get the ball past him. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some randomness to our enemy. See if you can figure out how to add randomness to your enemy. In our next video we'll go over how to do this, but see if you can figure it out.